All right, let's get right into it. Today we are taking a deep dive into the Roscommon County real estate market, looking at the very latest data through November 2025. So, whether you're dreaming of buying that perfect cabin up north or you're thinking about selling your home, the next few minutes are going to give you the clarity you absolutely need. Okay, let's start with the big one, the headline number, because honestly, it tells most of the story. The median sale price, year to date, is up almost 10% from last year. That's some serious, steady growth, and it tells you that the demand for that up-north lifestyle is stronger than ever. So we know prices are climbing, but what does the overall health of the market look like? Let's get that 30,000-foot view before we dive into the nitty-gritty. Well, the main takeaway here is that sellers, you definitely still have the upper hand. Countywide, we're sitting at about 2.8 months of housing supply. Now, what does that mean? It just means if nothing new came on the market, we'd sell out of all the houses in under 3 months. Anything less than, say, 4 to 6 months is a seller's market. But, and this is a big but, it's not the crazy, frenzied, offer-anything market we saw a while back. Things are balancing out a little, which gives buyers just a bit more room to breathe. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the year as a whole. Total home sales are up more than 5%. And prices? Both median and average are up about 10 to 12%. Strong, right? But then if you zoom in on just November, sales were actually down 35% compared to last November. So what's that tell us? It suggests that while the year has been incredibly strong, we're seeing that typical seasonal slowdown as we head into the winter months. So let's peel back another layer and get into the why behind those numbers. You know, when you really want to understand a market, it all boils down to two things. How fast are homes selling, and, crucially, how are they being priced? 59 days. That's the median time a home sits on the market this year before an offer is accepted. What does that really mean? It means half of all the homes sold in Roscommon County were snapped up in less than 2 months. For homes that are priced right and look good, the market is still moving very, very fast. Okay, now this tells a story about money. If you get your pricing right and your home sells in the first 30 days, you can expect to walk away with about 99% of your asking price. Pretty great. But look what happens when a property just sits there for over 4 months. The average sale price plummets to just 85% of what you originally asked for. The takeaway is crystal clear. Overpricing your home from the start is an expensive mistake. The market will absolutely make you pay for it. You know, Roscommon County isn't just one single market. It's really a collection of unique communities. And to get the real story, you have to break it down by zip code. Each one has its own personality, and the data tells 4 totally different stories. First up, Houghton Lake. Think of this as the workhorse of the county. This is the core, the heart of the market, where you find a ton of those classic family cabins and year-round homes. With about 3.4 months of inventory, it's still leaning towards sellers, but it's getting more balanced. It's the steady, reliable player in the game. And you can really see that identity right here. You've got those classic, comfortable homes that define the area, right alongside its central location in the county. It really is the heart of the market. Next, let's talk about Prudenville, which is kind of the middle lane of the county. The buyers here are very, very price sensitive. They're looking for value, maybe trading off being right on the lake for more garage space or a newer kitchen. At 3.7 months of supply, it is the most balanced, the most neutral market we're looking at today. And now we get to the high voltage market, Higgins Lake. There may not be a ton of sales here, but wow, when they happen, they involve some big numbers. True premium lakefront property is what drives these extreme prices. And with only 2.6 months of inventory, it is by far the tightest, most competitive seller's market in the entire county. These visuals just capture that Higgins Lake story perfectly. That beautiful, premium beachfront, that's exactly what's driving the data we just saw. It's high demand for a very limited number of incredible properties, and that creates this intense, seller-driven environment. And finally, we have St. Helen. This is what we'd call the value play of Roscommon County. This is the spot for buyers who might care more about a beautiful wooded lot or direct access to ATV trails over being right on one of the big lakes. With inventory right around 4 months, it's a balanced market where buyers have more to choose from and a little more room to negotiate. So, now that we've seen how each area has its own flavor, let's zoom in on a trend that is cutting across all of them, because there is one specific price range where demand has just absolutely exploded. This chart is just incredible. I mean, Look at that middle bar. The number of homes sold between $300,000 and $400,000 is up a staggering 81% from last year. 81%. The entry-level market is flat, the high end is growing nicely, but the fire in this market is right there. This isn't a small bump, it's a massive shift in what people are buying. This is where the heart of the market is beating the fastest, right now. And this quote from the analysis just nails it. This is the sweet spot for people chasing that perfect lake lifestyle. Something comfortable, something really nice, but not over-the-top crazy expensive. This is where all the action is. Okay, we've thrown a lot of numbers and charts at you. We've looked at the county, the zip codes, the price points. So what does this all actually mean for you? Let's boil it all down into 4 simple, actionable strategies. Here it is, plain and simple. For you sellers, price it right from day one. We saw the data, there's a steep penalty for sitting on the market. For you buyers, if you're shopping in that hot 300 to 400K range, just know you need to be ready for competition. For sellers on Higgins Lake with that prime property, you can command top dollar, and it will move fast. And finally, for buyers who want more options and maybe a little more leverage, St. Helen is where you're going to find it. We've covered a ton of ground today, and the data paints a really clear picture of a strong market, but one that's definitely shifting. It leaves us with one last question to think about. With so much demand and prices on the rise, where will buyers and investors find the next great opportunity in Roscommon County? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this breakdown.